start that. Welcome in, guys. This is Alby. Welcome to Alby Klutch Fantasy Football. This is going to be the official first mock draft of the episodes. We started with some episodes prior, but now we're going to go ahead and make this one the official first. And I'm excited. I'm excited to get this one started. I'm here with my co-host, Klutch, aka Drew, aka a bunch of other names like AlbyKlutch, or there's Andrew Rodriguez. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great today, man. Super hyped for today's episode. Definitely want to take a deep dive into what we're kind of doing here. Remember, guys, our purpose here is to educate and just basically give our insight, our perspective on what we're doing here, what we're looking at when we are doing these picks, these mock drafts. I know it definitely helps me out a lot doing these mock drafts as a practice. So I'm just hoping that it could do the same for you guys as we continue to do these videos for you.
Yeah, we've been doing this. Well, I've been playing fantasy football for a good amount of time. I'm gonna say 10 plus years now. And yeah, over the years, draft in and draft out, I always strategically make a plan. The crazy thing is anything can happen on these drafts, so you have to be prepared for any situation, and that's something that we kind of preach here. So stay tuned and yeah, be ready for this. These are fun. I actually do these for fun, just to see where players are falling. And you know what, I'm always using different types of different websites, such as Sleeper, Yahoo Sports. So I just want to give a quick shout out, ESPN. What are some mock draft tools or websites that you use?
I was going to mention, actually, when you first brought up Sleeper to me, I wasn't really a fan of it, but I feel like it's a lot more comfortable now to use. And, I've obviously used it more than a few times. So yes, it has become a lot more comfortable for me to use. Always have used ESPN. I used Yahoo 1 year. I'm definitely more comfortable with the ESPN and now Sleeper. Never used Sleeper to actually, run the whole season through a league. So not sure how I would feel about that. But
yeah, and this season I do want to make that switch to the Sleeper League, just because I've heard good things about it. I'm sure you have too, and that's probably why from even trying it out, you can kind of see like the differences. Definitely use ESPN, very basic app right there, and we also have Yahoo Fantasy, which is another good one. I believe it's good, and even Fantasy Pros out there. But yeah, the Sleeper is gonna be the one that we're gonna be using today. So you can kind of see and look at yourself just to see how comfortable you can get with this type of style of draft, and you can see all the information that's given to you there as well.
Nice. All right.
Yeah. So before we actually start this mock draft, we're gonna do something. We're actually gonna go over a few different positions on the offensive side and IDP. Just to kind of go over our rankings. We recently got into creating our rankings, so we will be dropping that on social media here in the next week or so. And so that's pretty exciting. I do have my rankings. Klutch has his rankings. So we're going to go over QBs, running backs, receiver, tight ends, and IDPs. A few questions here. You excited about this one?
Bring on the questions. I have the greatest answers for the.
All right. Well, perfect. That's all you need to give me right there. We're going to go ahead and start off with QB questions. This segment's called Cash or Trash. Cash obviously means the player is
Cash
draftable.
Cash money.
He's cash money. Exactly. Just like that. And then if someone says trash, well, you know what that means.
Pretty simple.
So we're just going to get right into it right here. So the first quarterback that I have in mind, Baker Mayfield. Is he cash or trash, and why?
He did play hurt last season. I'm going to go trash as of right now. Trash.
I mean, you know what happened with that trade recently.
Yes.
He's going to be in Carolina.
Yes.
And you can definitely go over that as well. He's going to be in Carolina.
Right.
And like that new situation, who knows if he's gonna be the starting quarterback. So right now, you said
Trash. He is in Carolina. Yes, it is an opportunity for him to kind of revive his short career so far. So let's see if he does it.
all right. Well, I'm gonna personally say trash for now as well. There's just too many unanswered questions at this moment. Who's gonna be the starting quarterback there? That team isn't the best. I mean, they do have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. It's gonna be interesting, but for now, yeah, I'm gonna stick with trash on that one. Next quarterback in line, we have Jalen Hurts. Is he
Jalen Hurts.
cash or trash?
Wow. Okay. Um, so it's a very good one. I'm really 50-50 on Jalen Hurts as a draftable prospect. He is good fantasy wise, but he doesn't really put up the numbers that you would like to see with the hype surrounding him. As of right now, I still do have faith in Jalen Hurts to become that cash money type of player. But right now, as we speak, I'm saying trash. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, you know what? Usually, I would probably say trash. Because I've already seen it a couple times. Past couple seasons, where he does struggle. Trying to get that offense going from time to time, and so as of right now, I mean, you know what? He does have more weapons come like this time around. I mean, you do have AJ Brown there, and
That's
it's
true.
it's hard to miss those hands.
That is true.
So you know what? I'm gonna change it up for Jalen Hurts. Doesn't mean I'm gonna be that guy to draft him, but if he's at the right spot for the right value, I'm gonna say cash on that. I would take a chance, maybe quarterback 2 or quarterback 3 on there.
Right. Yeah. I was just going to add in this two quarterback league that we're going to do, I would not mind having him as a solid QB3 just stacked away on my bench, knowing that he is going to be putting up some numbers. And, what type of ceiling he has will just got to come from him, and we just got to see it.
Yep. Man, I agree with you there on that. Now the third quarterback in line, we have Trevor Lawerence. Is he cash
Trevor
or
Lawrence.
trash?
Wow. And some quarterbacks who are kind of in a tough situation, they're in their respective organizations, definitely. Makes it tough to be all in on these players, at least for this segment. I do like him. I would not personally draft him as of yet. I feel like I would have a lot more quarterbacks in mind, at least 4 or 5 before taking Trevor Lawrence. But I don't feel like he's done enough yet, man. But I really do have faith in his new coach, which is Doug Peterson. He's won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia a couple years back. So if he can kind of catalyze Trevor Lawerence and that offense, he could be from right now a trash player to a cash player by probably mid-season. But right now, for me, trash.
Trash. And you know what? I can see where you're coming from on that, and you have a lot of valid points. From a statistical standpoint, he threw for 3,700 yards last season with 22 touchdowns. Rookie season.
Okay.
Those aren't bad numbers when you're with a horrible
No,
team.
well,
And so like seeing
right.
it from that perspective, you definitely gotta have some better consideration, because you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and give him the go ahead cash on this one.
Cash, okay.
Now cash, yes, again, we look for value. And I'm looking like QB3, QB2, QB3, borderline QB2. It's just very hard to really put him. He's definitely gonna be a waiver wire pickup. So, or maybe he's gonna be on your third quarterback on the bench. So you just at that point you just gotta hope for the most, hope for the best.
Just a
So
quick note, I would personally feel a little sketched if my QB2 was Trevor Lawrence. Just saying. That's coming from me.
well, you can decide that later on down the season to see, you just never know what's gonna happen. So maybe I'm just throwing out some stats out
Great
there,
bench
and
player though.
you know
Great
what,
bench player.
fantasy football can be about stats, as well. So
Great depth.
gonna go ahead and move forward with this. We do have the running back questions coming up now. For this position, we're gonna go ahead and go with the dark horses. Uh, Clutch is gonna come out with 3 dark horses, and I'm gonna come out with the other 3. This pretty much means players who don't, they're not super popular right now, or they're not trending in the fantasy football way to where, maybe they've done great in the past and they're just not projected to do that good this year. But these dark horses are the ones that are actually going to surpass their projections. So we'll go ahead and start with you, Clutch. Who are your 3 dark horses in the running back position?
Okay, so for my dark horses, running backs, number 3, I'm gonna say I feel like Tony Pollard is a great dark horse back this season. He obviously had great efficiency with over 5 yards per carry last season, and he didn't see that many touches. It was still a solid number, but he's my number 3. Number 2, this is kind of like I want to say maybe preference, definitely type. Some people might be shocked about this one, but for my number 2 dark horse, I'm going to say Saquon Barkley, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like Saquon Barkley definitely has had a tough back-to-back 2 years with injuries. It's tough for him. A lot of people are not really expecting him to do much this season, and I feel like he's coming back healthy, still not in the greatest situation, but a healthy Saquon is a lot better in my mind than the Saquon we've seen the past 2 years. So hopefully he can stay healthy. He is a great value pick for how late he is going. Okay, so just kind of keep in mind there. And my number 1 dark horse, just kind of keep it quick here, Javonte Williams. A lot of hype around him. People have him kind of high, but some people may not expecting him to do too much. But I feel like he possibly could take over that RB1 role there in Denver, given the fact, Melvin Gordon has had his issues with injury. So if that were to happen, Javonte Williams can definitely step in, and he has proven to be a RB1 type of back for that offense.
All right. Yeah. And those are pretty good picks. I actually did have we do have one in common, and you'll find out here in a little bit. So going into dark horses with my running backs, I do have 3 beautiful running backs here that I think are gonna surpass their projection. This first one, maybe not a super popular in the dark horse area, but I think he's in tune for a bounce back this year. And yep, I think he's a super popular running back regardless. But he's usually able to do a little bit more. And last season wasn't his greatest. First one, number 3 is gonna be Dalvin Cook. Sure, he did have 1,100 rushing yards. He only had 6 touchdowns, where he averages at least 14 a season. So that's a big thing right there. So I think that might be changing here this season, and I think he's gonna surpass his projection. Right now he's going around number 9 overall. Where I think, if you're first on that board, you can think about even getting that first pick, Dalvin Cook. I think that's a really reasonable pick at that point. Number 2 is gonna be Cam Akers. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's gonna be Cam Akers. Coming back from an injury. I mean, he came back last season and he put work in the playoffs where they needed him. And you know what? Like he's gonna be. I feel he's gonna be the starting back, no doubt. And he's also a pass catcher on that end, so he's gonna be able to really put work in the ground game and the passing game. So that's why I think Cam Akers is a dark horse. And the last one is gonna be Saquon Barkley. Okay. Saquon Barkley, I believe. Okay. We've had conversations about this, and I think it's about that time. He's gonna have to carry that Giants team like he always does, and I think he's gonna get back to doing that. Unfortunately, until they make a change, possibly in the QB spot, it hasn't really worked out. But you never know.
For Danny Dimes really is
Danny Dimes. Hey, there was hope one time, and that hope kind of slipped away now. But all right, well, gonna go ahead and get into the wide receivers. So now this is going to be a segment called bounce backs. So this pretty much means, or you want to go ahead and explain this, Clutch?
So basically, a bounce back wide receiver is just anybody who kind of was dealing with an injury the prior season, and you really feel like he's healthy, kind of like a Saquon Barkley type of case, but for the wide receiver spot. Anybody who you feel is in a prime position to just really bounce back and have a great year, or just have a better year than they did last year. Um, all right. So is it you starting it or me?
So I can go ahead and start this one. I'll so for my first receiver, I'm gonna go ahead and go Michael Thomas. You did say that earlier, and I mean I had already chosen Michael Thomas because it's obvious, he hasn't been playing, or he hasn't been very consistent on the field. I mean quarterback play has been pretty lousy there, so he hasn't been able to do him, and so I
Okay.
think with a healthy famous Jameis, I think he's gonna be able to give him the ball a little bit more.
Taysom
And
Hill.
I think he'll be able. Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill, backup
There
QB.
you go. With Taysom Hill as backup quarterback, you never know what's gonna happen on that offense. So, that's who I have as my number three. Number two is gonna be D Hop. I
Yeah.
know these are very popular names that I'm popping out because like usually you're able to see these players actually pop off or at least do something during the season where they just haven't been there. They haven't been them.
They haven't been them.
Um,
Yes, exactly, exactly.
yeah, and it's kind of disappointing, but at the same time, like you don't want to lose hope, and I'm not gonna lose hope on D Hop right now. You just still have Kyler Murray there. They sign, or I think they're about to sign him. So I think that's gonna be a bounce back year for him. And the last one is Brandon Ayuk.
Mm.
Last season had a terrible season, and that was not for most. Like I'm gonna say for the maybe like the first 12 weeks, where he really wasn't producing all that much, and fantasy owners were just frustrated with him. I just remember him being the topic of discussion. So he's someone that I believe he can come back. I do believe Garoppolo is going to be at center there eventually. Maybe I don't know if Trey Lance can do it. I don't think he can survive. So yep, those are going to be my three receivers, and we'll go ahead and turn it over to Clutch.
Okay, so for my first bounce back wide receiver, um, definitely kind of went through an injury there late in the season. Chris Godwin is going to come back. He's going to be healthy. He's going to be in that same offense again with Tom Brady. And it's just like, who else is there? Gronk retired. And Antonio Brown is doing Antonio Brown things right now. Okay. He's not there. They have, I know Cameron Brate left somewhere else, right? And I think OJ or one of their tight ends left somewhere. So there's not really any solid pass catchers or reliable pass catchers in that offense that Brady still has. So I'm going with Chris Godwin. He comes back and he bounces back and he performs higher than where he's ranked at right now. My second wide receiver that should bounce back, also been kind of down in early in his career, Cortland Sutton. I know he had his first good solid year because he stayed healthy, but the past few years he has been dealing with some injuries there. But I really feel like that Denver Broncos team definitely has a different type of energy around him just because Russell Wilson is their quarterback now. That's got to add some different type of juice, some different type of quality of work, training, things like that. So Cortland Sutton, I feel like he's going to be able to be a bounce back wide receiver in 2022. Number one bounce back wide receiver, or sorry, three, the third one. I am going to go Michael Gallup, also definitely going through a knee injury similar to Chris Godwin. And I feel like both of those wide receivers, Chris Godwin and Michael Gallup, they're going to be on the field. They're going to be running routes. Godwin can be, just depending on his value, wide receiver one for that offense. Michael Gallup is going to be potentially a wide receiver two for that offense. So they're going to be running routes. They're going to be catching passes. They're going to be on the field. So I love me some Michael Gallup as a bounce back wide receiver this season.
All right. And I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good list right there. I'm not too sure about the Chris Godwin pick, mainly because I mean overall last season he had a phenomenal year, and yeah, he did get injured. But I still think he was on track to being one of the top guys in the receiving side of things. So I can
Well,
see where you're coming from with the injury there, but
he
but
he is he is going pretty low in the most drafts, so I don't know why people aren't expecting much out of him. So I guess that's kind of where I
yeah,
got it.
and I can, yeah, that's a he's it's gonna take him some time to get back on the field, and I think that's why he's dropped a little bit on that end. So yeah, I can see
Oh,
where you're coming
also
from there.
a quick side note. DeAndre Hopkins, don't forget he's suspended 6 games this season. Just
Right. Yeah, yeah,
quick
yeah.
note.
And even after that, I think he's gonna have plenty of time to be able to make something happen there. So that's why I had him there. So now we're just gonna go to with our tight ends and then IDPs, and then we'll get this mock draft started on this end. So
Yes, sir.
um tight end question, cash. We're going back to cash or trash on these tight ends. And I think this is a fun segment here. So
Let's do it.
we're
Okay.
gonna go ahead and start from the back up. Let's go ahead. Pat Fryermuth.
Pat,
Cash or trash?
cash or trash? Okay. Who's going to be the quarterback there in Pittsburgh? Is it going to be Kenny Pickett? Is it going to be Mason Rudolph? Is it going to be Chris Kringle? We have no idea who is going to be there in Pittsburgh. So I'm not too sure if he's able to step up into that tight end one role for that team. I know he was solid last season though. He does have sure hands, so I feel like it doesn't really matter who's throwing him the ball. I feel like if it's a good, decent quarterback to give him a right ball, he's going to make a play. So, first cash of the segment today, I'm going to say cash on Pat Fryermuth.
And I'm still not too sure about Pat Fryermuth. I think there's same thing. I think there's a lot of questions there, and I'm not sure from a consistent side that he can even. I mean, I can see him as a backup tight end for maybe when you really need a tight end. That would be a good fill, just because there is some talent on that end with Pat Fryermuth. Looking back at his stats, he went 615 for 5 touchdowns.
Okay,
Which
he
I
could
mean
possibly
that's
take that jump this year. Could possible. It is very possible that he gets close to the 5 touchdown number this season. And yeah,
so. I think overall, I still don't see it there in Pittsburgh with Pat Fryermuth, so I'm gonna say trash on this one.
trash.
And I'm just gonna kind of keep it there. I really need to see a little bit more from him before I get some type of confidence to be able to even have him on my bench as a
Well,
backup.
he is definitely a depth player for sure, like a tight end too for sure on your roster.
So yeah, and I agree with that as well. The next name here, we're gonna go ahead and the next name here is gonna be Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts.
You cash or trash?
Kind of hard not to say cash on Kyle Pitts. And I'm just gonna say it. Cash money on a Kyle Pitts. Give me cash money on Kyle Pitts all day. Yeah, second year in that offense, Marcus Mariota has proven to be a decent QB1, kind of like a fresh start for him. So he's not a terrible quarterback. He is better than a lot of quarterbacks out there, and I feel like he and Kyle Pitts can definitely get a relationship and connection going. So I'm looking forward to that. So yes, cash money, Kyle Pitts.
And Kyle Pitts, same thing. It's good. That's an easy answer. It's cash on that. And you see the talent. You saw it last year, last season, where he was the leading receiver and he's a tight end.
He had what, 900 receiving, or did he have
with Calvin Ridley out of the mix for about half the season. I mean, it's hard. He's the life of that offense. He went 959 for 5 touchdowns. So that's what you want to see from your tight end. That's valuable work right there. Obviously, if you have names like Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce, you're gonna get a little bit more touches and definitely more touchdowns. But he finished third overall in tight ends last season.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
definitely cash.
Yeah, it is definitely possible for him to finish around top 5 this year. So yes.
Yep. And then so last name here for the tight ends, and I'm gonna go ahead and start this one now, is TJ Hawkinson. Another beautiful name, and I think these are all these last two tight ends are very valuable as a starting tight end. You know, these are tight ends you do want to have. TJ Hawkinson, he went 662 for 5 touchdowns. And then the amount of catches he had, wow, it does not say. But regardless, yeah, I think TJ Hawkinson, even though I mean he has Jared Goff under center, which is not a bad option. I mean he has experience as a starting quarterback. You know, I don't think people give him the benefit of the doubt. And I think he's been paired well with TJ Hawkinson. And I think he's gonna continue to eat. Hopefully he does do a little bit better than last season, but you know, he might be doing around the same, which is okay.
Got you. I'm gonna go ahead and say trash on TJ Hawkinson just because I kind of had faith in him, not last year, but the season before him. There was a lot of hype around him. I think now it's going to be his 4th year in the league. Hasn't really taken that next jump to kind of be that guy. You said that there's 650 roughly receiving yards. I don't feel like that is enough to have him as a tight end 1 on my team, but definitely a tight end 2. A lot of these guys that you've been mentioning have been definitely depth players. So they're great depth players, players you want to have at that position just to kind of beef up that certain position there in your roster. So definitely tight end 2 for me. Just not a tight end 1, but I'm going to go ahead and say trash here.
I mean, with a team like the Lions, I mean, it's definitely hard to have some hope there where it's been a disappointment time after time again. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of our tight ends, and now we're just gonna go into our IDP question. And this one is pretty much it's gonna be a quick response, pretty much on a strategy that I look towards when I'm in an IDP league. And an IDP league is pretty much an independent defensive player. Where you know you pick someone from any defense, and you know from the amount of tackles, solo tackles, sacks, interceptions, you know, it all gets counted for, and you won't earn points from them as well. So it's very important to look for valuable IDPs that can get you some points and maybe even win you a game here or there, you know. So I know one right off the bat that I like referring to is Buda Baker, who, you know what, like it's happened a couple times where he'll just go off for 30 points just because he's all over the field that game. And, you know, that ends up really giving me an advantage over my opponent. So that's very, it's very, you can get very strategic with it. But yeah, when looking into IDPs, there's a bunch of different positions, but linebacker is something a position I really look for. And you know, you kind of have to follow to see like how many tackles are these players getting a game, and how many solo, how many assisted. You got to keep an eye on it, and it's gonna change throughout the season. So you have to be active on the waiver wire just to make sure there's not a name out there that's really making a difference and scoring like an extra 10, 12 points a game, and everyone's missing them, and you know, and that's going to give you that advantage. So that's pretty much my strategy over there. I look for linebackers and safeties for sure, like Buda Baker. What about you, Klutch?
Yes, awesome. Linebackers, man. I like looking at linebackers. People get a lot of tackles. We can talk about Michael Parsons had a lot of tackles. Alby really likes drafting Bobby Wagner, which is a great solid pick for his linebacker spot. So Bobby Wagner, top all-pro player in the league, gets a bunch of tackles. And also Logan Wilson and Blake Martinez, players like that. They definitely get in a lot of tackles per game when they're in there and they're healthy. 14, 15 tackles a game is a lot of points. And those players are able to put up those types of numbers, get in that 20 number range, which is a lot of points, as Alby was saying, a definite advantage over your opponent.
Yeah, it's definitely some position you really want to look at. So yeah, when looking at IDPs, we're gonna be dropping our ranks. That way you guys can take a look to see where we're ranking specific players. Everyone has their own opinion on this end. Doesn't mean we're right, but it's through experience and it's through feel of the game. It's also gut feeling, of which players you think are gonna stride this year. Which ones are gonna make a lot of noise, who are gonna be your saviors, and who are gonna be the people that are gonna, like, maybe not meet that expectation that you're expecting, but you have to adjust, and it's all about adjusting. It's a long season, so you got to be just be patient, and but also be on the ball as well. So now the next thing we're gonna go over is just our mock draft spot before we get this mock draft started. um I'm gonna go ahead and start with my position right now. This time around, I'm gonna go ahead and draft from the 9 spot. And the reason for this, if I had the choice to be able to pick, I still don't know where I want to be. I'm trying a lot of different spots out. That way I can get a feel of where players are going again. You kind of have to get a feel and just be ready for any situation again. So the 9th spot is going to give me some time to be able to make 2 quick picks back to back. And it'll kind of help my parameter of my team out at the end of the day. So hopefully it goes good. And again, we're gonna have a minute and a half for each draft pick. So it'll give me plenty of time to be ready for those picks when they're coming up, and then make pretty quick picks. What position are you gonna be, Clutch?
So I decided to go with the 5th spot this time. I do know that I like drafting on the ends, especially in a 10-man league, 1 through 3 or 8 through or 7 through 10. Those end sides are definitely where I like drafting from. I feel like I've had a lot of practice from those sides, so I'm trying to mix it up here. 5th spot, definitely kind of tough. You don't have those 2 quick back-to-back picks like you're gonna have, so it's definitely gonna be able to mix things up for me. Definitely gonna have to take a little bit of a different look at things. But yeah, man, I'm excited, ready.
All right. Well, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get this started here. And good luck. Good luck.
You're gonna need it.